I'm Ron Reichelderfer. I'm a retired U.S. Army colonel. Spent most of my career as an Army aviator. I commanded the 1st Battalion of the 1st Aviation Regiment, which was the Apache Battalion that led the 1st Infantry Division and 1st Unit to cross the forward line of troops to begin the ground war in Desert Storm. The Apache has 3 basic weapon systems. Its primary weapon system is the Hellfire missile, primarily an anti-armor weapon system. The second are the 2.75-inch rockets that come in a number of variations. And then, of course, you have the cannon that will fire up to 750 shots a minute. It slews to your helmet sight, so you just look at the target and take that reticle that's in your right eye and put it on the target and pull the trigger. And that's where that round goes. The Apache gives you such tremendous visibility over what you're doing. You can't escape the fact that when that 30mm round hits a humanoid, it dismantles the human figure. That aircraft is a killing machine. You've got the Hellfire missile that can take out any armored vehicle on the battlefield. You've got the 30mm cannon, which is a deadly machine, and then you've got the rockets with multiple types of warheads you can use. You put all that together, and you got an absolute killing machine. And I don't care who the adversary is. If he doesn't have the like equipment, he is not going to survive. If you know the Mi-24 when it attacks a target, it breaks right because the weapon system only slews left. So we were trained, if you were going to encounter an Mi-24, you want to lead your target. And as long as you know he's going to break right at the target, you got him because you're going to start putting rounds out there in the direction you know he's going to turn once he reaches that altitude and breaks. The best place to take out a fighter is when he's on the ramp at an airport, which we did quite a bit of in Iraq. They kind of parked him out on the roads off the runways, the taxiways, but we didn't have any trouble fighting him. So we had a select group of targets we went after, and I can't talk to the specifics, but a very focused mission. There was a lot of the forces that were evacuating to get their capabilities back to Baghdad. We were primarily targeted against the Republican Guard. That was their strongest force structure, and our objective was to take them down. In many cases, they were retreating, and the disarray of their withdrawal put them even at greater risk. And it was so bad that at the end of day 2, I had collaborated with my division commander to seek out a non-standard approach for engaging the armored vehicles. It appeared to me that they were just trying to get the hell out of the Dodge. A lot of the ground forces were left behind. They had a lot of wounded. They had a lot of people that hadn't had food and water, and they were hurting. And so I was called to do rocket fire on these forces, and after moving up and kind of surveying the situation, I called the division commander and I said, this is not a fighting force. I think we might want to consider a little different approach. I'm suggesting they look like a force that's in bad shape, that got left behind because of fuel starvation. They can't move their vehicles and their troops, and I think they're ready to give up. And I think we might want to explore that first, boss. And he gave me the green light, and he shut down some of the fires. And sure enough, they presented themselves in a way where they were waiting for somebody to show up and accept their surrender. A general officer on the ground there, he said, we need help now. I got a lot of injured, wounded, and starving people here. And so that turned into a POW rescue operation more than anything else. And then we advanced to the next phase line to start taking out these tracks again. I discussed this with my division commander, Major General Tom Rain. I told him that I don't think we need to put a Hellfire in these tanks. If we approach and get within the range of the 30mm cannon and we knock on the door, I think they'll exit the vehicle and we're going to not take so many lives. Sure enough, they were prepared to exit that vehicle, because as soon as we started tapping them with 30 millimeter rounds, the vehicle stopped, hatch popped open, and the crew got out and ran away because they knew the missile would follow. So that was kind of the approach we used there and toward the end of February, where we just ran them down, and rather than do what we normally do, which is maintain our distance, and we approached the enemy a little closer and giving them the opportunity to get out. And it worked well. I thought it worked very well. If you can get the crew out of that vehicle and do a mobility kill, that's good enough. I left Iraq with a tremendous amount of respect for the prime who put that thing together. I was impressed beyond all belief on how sustainable that aircraft was in an adverse environment every day, where we didn't have the time to do as much of the preventive maintenance as we normally would. It was an amazing machine. I had personally witnessed the situation where, the bad guys had launched missiles toward my aircraft, and I saw the missiles get confused and start tumbling out there about 200 or 300 yards away. And I said to myself, thank God for American technology. It works.